Greetings, fellow adventurers. I'm Max.
And I'm Ben. Welcome to the peak.
We're here in the Rocky Mountains helping you reach your peak in Dungeons & Dragons and life.
This week's video is for dungeon masters who want to create a truly unforgettable boss fight.
If that's you, roll some initiative and buckle up because it's about to get awesome.
Today, Max and I are going to teach you what you need to know in order to create a truly unique and memorable boss fight.
Ben's right. As players who took part in one, it was amazing. I mean, I remember looking around the table at you and Tony and all I could say was just wow.
Dude, I know. I thanked you after the session for stepping in and taking the lead because my mind was reeling the entire time.
No, you did. And then after you and Nick left, Tony and I spent a smooth 20 minutes discussing what just happened and what it could possibly mean out in the parking lot.
So if you're a DM who's interested in having your players talk like this about something you did, you're in luck.
First, a prologue of sorts for those who are new here.
What the f? Can't believe it. You. I don't this, mistress. What the sh? Hasn't anyone ever told you it's rude to sneak up on a unicorn in its grove while it's enjoying its favorite podcast? Come to think of it, that's not even supposed to be possible. Who are you? Why are you here? What business do you have with I, Saint Gumdrop Lollipop Snuggly Face Tiny Pants? What? Yes, of course I have every right to use that title. I am a lawful good divine being, for Cuthbert's sake. I couldn't lie about that if I wanted to. What? No. Quite easy, really. I simply submitted the appropriate number of topics to ignorant and uninformed, and one day, a totally legit and valid certificate of sainthood magically appeared in my grove. Now be gone! Jeff was just starting to talk about how much he loves Omega!
We're playing Into the Fae by the DM Lairs Luke Hart.
Get your copy today.
Thanks, Luke. And we're in the endgame of this module.
We've thwarted many an attempt by the Vex Mortem to take control over Airedale, and we assumed we were on our way to do so again.
Our intrepid heroes find themselves standing on the threshold of the Frog Witch's palace. Ethel Wormwiggle is a general in the evil Fae army.
She, being the Fae hag she is, has napped some children, one from the city we're protecting, and some from the lizard folk friends that we made on the way.
So we're here to rescue the kids, and I think it's fair to say that all of us thought that would end up involving some blood or goo shed. I don't know what hags leak when you poke them.
Only it didn't. We never drew a sword or rolled initiative during the entire 50-minute fight on account of the fact it was a conversation.
And it was awesome. It's seriously been one of my favorite moments from this entire campaign.
Ben and I liked it so much that we hit Nick up to tell us how the hell he did it in hopes of helping you do the same.
Now we're taking a journalistic approach here, explaining the who, what, when, where, why, and how, so you can have your own incredible boss battle.
In a nod to Simon Sinek, we're going to start with why.
Why?
Because it was awesome.
Already seen and heard the impact it had on us. We want to give you and your group that same pleasure.
And come on, let's be real. How many boss fights have you been in where they were just sort of anticlimactic, basic, and kind of boring?
Don't get me wrong, combat is great. It's necessary, but it's also super predictable.
Oh, I mean, I've definitely run a few of them. But does it get any more black and white than good guy roll? Yeah, smash bad guy, you win, yay.
No,
come on.
No, it doesn't. And that's the real why. You want to do this too.
Keep your players excited and interested, to bring your game to life, to make it a little more vivid, add some nuance, add a little bit of color. Did it work?
Say when.
The best time to reach into your rust-colored DM bag of tricks and pull this one out is toward the end game.
The stakes are too low if it's too early on. Plus, you probably won't have the carrots and sticks you need yet. More on those coming up.
You're looking for a moment in the story where the heroes have tipped the scales in their favor, knowingly or but haven't won.
And also a time when they still don't have all the answers or see the whole picture of what's going on.
As for the where, that totally depends on your story.
Where is my super suit?
For us, it was in the Bone Palace.
Phrasing.
Ethel the Frog Witch.
Title of your sex tape. So, a hideout, a lair, perhaps a fancy steak dinner, depending on your flavor of villain.
Who? The fellow playing first base for St. Louis. Who? The guy on first base. Who is on first?
Someone in the upper tiers of the bad guy org chart.
Now, you don't want to make it the main, unless you've got a twist in mind. Some reveal that there's a hag behind the hag behind the hag.
Which gross.
Also phrasing.
But cool.
Yes.
And if you pull that off, we would love to hear about it. Drop it in the Underdark below.
You want to use an NPC that knows more than the players and has something that they want or need. This is why a higher up is better than a peon.
This want or need can be information, but the whole battle will go a lot better if you've got an additional bargaining chip as well.
Now, in our game, Ethel not only knew the Queen Below's plan and who the traitors in Airedale were, she also had the girl and the eggs that we were looking for.
If you're running a game from scratch, scroll through your bad guy Rolodex and see who fits this bill.
If you're working off a module like Nick was, you want to look for something in the character description of an NPC that says, willing to negotiate, title of your sex tape.
Will betray their own cause to survive. Another sentiment to scout for.
Someone who's more nuanced, who isn't stuck seeing the world as black and white, or hopelessly devoted to the big bad's cause. Someone with their own agenda and desires. How?
This is where it starts getting good. How to actually pull this verbal boss battle off has two parts. You've got the prep and in the moment.
The good news is you've already started the prep simply by choosing the NPC. Good job, you.
To finish the prep, you'll need a solid grasp on what everyone at the table and in the room wants.
And we mean everyone. The party, the bad guy's mooks, everyone in the room.
Is this going down over food? Are there people bringing that food to the table? What do they want to get out of this?
At least a 20% tip. The clearer you are on what everyone brings to the table and what they hope to walk away with, the better you can make your verbal boss battle.
When it comes to the NPCs, this shouldn't be too tough. Ostensibly, you've been inhabiting them for quite some time and know them well.
When it comes to your players, it's a matter of paying attention to what they've already given you.
Everything your players do is information. Their actions, the leads they follow, who they talk to, what they say, the quests they take, and why they take them.
Your players did or didn't do these things for various reasons. That is what you're after. Their reasons.
And it's not just their actions that give you these clues. Their reactions can too.
Think back to the events around your table over the course of your campaign. What's gotten the biggest emotional response from your players?
Now, don't limit this search to just one side of the emotional spectrum. Laughter and joy are just as valid as horror and shock and disgust.
Once you know what drives your players, it's time to play with that information. What are their biggest fears? What do they want? What don't they want?
In order to make a verbal boss battle work, you're going to need at least one carrot and one stick for each player.
A carrot is something they want. A stick, something they don't.
But you've got to make both of them believable. Carrots and sticks don't work if they're not plausible.
Now notice Max didn't say true. By all means, have your boss promise and threaten more than they can deliver. Just be tactful about it.
Think about the best storyteller you know. Channel this person and their propensity to embellish for the sake of the dramatic. Do that.
As this is the crux of how to pull off an encounter like this, we're going to break down our characters, Jastian, Ghourd, and Illingsworth from Into the Fae.
Jastian's motivations, let's see, comes from a broken home, absentee father whose affection and attention he's always wanted, and it caused him to act out.
Baba, family, a home is what he wants more than anything, and I'd say his greatest fear is that the queen below has his blood.
Ooh, pro tip, regrets are a great mine for both carrots and sticks. If there's a player at your table with a big regret, go there.
Second pro tip, never give the bad guy your blood. For Ghourd, lawful paladin and valiant hero that he is, he wants to serve Helm with every morsel of his being, protect the innocent, and smash the evildoers.
His greatest fear is that he's wrong, that things aren't nearly as black and white as good versus evil, and that he's accidentally doing harm.
Ghourd also serves two different masters, which we'll see comes up a bit later.
Illinsworth has had a tough life. He watched his family fall apart, he's experienced racism, he mistrusts authority, he's also good.
Because of this, betrayal and not being hip to the way the world actually works are some of his biggest fears. And he cares about the downtrodden.
With these desires and fears laid bare for each player, it's time to think about what your NPC can do to poke and prod at them.
You're looking to come up with a list of different things that you can say, the threats and promises that that NPC can make during this conversation that will hit your party the hardest.
Which brings us to in the moment, or the how the hell do I actually do this portion of our program.
DMs. The first thing you've absolutely got to do is give the DMs. The first thing you've absolutely got to do is give the party a good reason to talk.
Awesome verbal boss battles can only happen if weapons stay in their sheaths and spells stay in their slots.
A simple opening line of, "I've got a bargain you can't refuse," or "Let's see if we can't settle this like adults, shall we?" can always do the trick.
When in doubt, there's nothing like the old knife to the throat of the hostage to help put most heroes in a listening mood.
Raising the stakes, but just as effective. Whatever you use to get the players to the table, great, you've got them there. But now the goal becomes keeping them there.
The main strategy you'll use to do this is to keep them perpetually off balance by using the sticks and carrots.
As a show of goodwill and that the NPC can be a trusted ally, start with a carrot.
This will likely whet the players' appetites and pique their interests.
A reveal, true or not, of how this NPC has actually helped the party already is an extremely appetizing carrot.
Nick did this and it put us immediately on our heels, which is precisely where you want your players to be.
The longer your players are on their heels, the longer you get to dictate the flow and direction of that conversation.
Think of playing chess and being on the offensive. As long as my moves are forcing you to react, that's what you'll spend all of your turns doing.
Carrots and sticks are equally effective at unbalancing your players, but it's all about timing.
Isn't it always?
Absolutely. Remember, your goal is to keep the conversation going for as long as you can without it resorting to violence. This means paying attention to your players.
Anytime one of your players starts to gain too much momentum, becomes too certain of what's going on, or too distant at the table, it's time to unbalance.
This is why you need carrots and sticks for each player. You want to be able to target tugs on individual heartstrings to keep them uncertain and engaged.
Alternating between carrots and sticks is a good strategy, typically. Ethel told us that she'd helped us. There was some back and forth, and then finally she went upside our heads with, oh, by the way, we've already won, and everything you do is meaningless.
When Tony began picking up momentum in the conversation, she threw him off balance by planting a seed of doubt.
Oh yeah, no, she referenced his dual allegiances to Helm and Oberon, and asked how certain he was that these powers would agree on everything. Always. Forever?
Illinsworth was put off balance by Ethel agreeing with him about the incompetence of the power structures in Airedale, something he already believed. It instantly built rapport.
She then went on to point out that a peaceful transition of power, as opposed to a full-on war, was likely the path of least civilian suffering.
It made a lot of sense at the time. The stick she used, which really got to you and Ghourd, had to do with the children of Aerodale and how they were already hers.
Children are the embodiment of innocence and the vulnerable. Making a threat about their safety is a great way to hit any good character in their good berries.
For a character who's not buying it or just doesn't give a shit about children, like Jastian, consider a big juicy carrot in reserve.
So Jastian hasn't trusted the Fae ever since he gave the Queen Below his blood.
Was taken.
Free will. So what did Nick do?
He offered Jastian everything he's always wanted. A home for him and his chosen family, and a fresh start in a big city where no one knew his name.
The anti-cheers.
Yes.
And toward the end of the conversation, where you had reached the point of like, okay, you're full of shit, I'm out, Nick hit you with another carrot.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
He teased information that not only you, but your Archfey patrons really wanted.
Oh yeah, that got my attention, and it worked like a charm.
So now look, obviously what Ben and I have been talking about today is pretty up there. This is like some high-level DM jujitsu.
If you've made it this far and you're like, hey, I can't wait to try this at my table, watch how masterfully Nick pulls all this off. Cue up the 30-minute mark of episode 24 of Into the Fae.
With this framework of carrots and sticks and unbalancing that we've given you, you'll be able to see how to put this whole concept together and really pull it off like a master.
A dungeon master. A few things to keep in mind before you go on your way and concoct your own boss battle that leaves your players dumbfounded and awestruck.
At the end of the day, remember what we said in our video on fun about planning and plans.
Depending on your group, or the day, or whatever's going on, much to your chagrin, your players may decide just to charge in guns blazing.
Or one player may get fed up, not be into it, flip the table, and resort to fisticuffs.
If these events happen, just chalk it up to group research.
It could be that the hook you used to get the party to the table and talking wasn't big enough.
Or maybe you've got a player who just likes to smash stuff. We see you, murder hobos. Both are equally good feedback to take in and important to know for the future of your campaign.
On the opposite side of things, don't ever offer your players an option or a path that you're not prepared to go down.
Player choices have been known to surprise even the best of DMs. Don't write a check that your ass can't Venmo to the and then returned. I guess maybe, you know, you're
Make
making
sure that there's enough money in your account to cover all of your debit card transactions, because that way you...
That's just smart financial advice, but these are terrible analogies. So we out.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us today.
Hopefully we piqued your interests.
Maybe gave you something to think about, help you reach your peak.
Let us know in the Underdark comments below if you're into this more DM-specific type of content.
If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, cast the sending. There's an email description lurking in the Underdark.
Like what we're doing here, roll to hit that subscribe button. Please, each and every one of you who does, thank you in advance. You've brought us one step closer to that sweet, sweet level up.
Make sure to drop all those warnings around the notification bell. We don't want you to get skipped. We don't want you to miss a turn.
Yeah, check back here every Wednesday and Saturday for more Dungeons & Dragons content.
You can support our channel by casting Big B's thumbs up. It's a cantrip. Everyone can do it. It works great. Just go for it. And until then, keep on climbing.
And we'll catch you next time here at the peak.
It sound right, boy.
That's not a knock
Are you
on
gonna
you.
do one more
It's a knock-
take?
Oh, we definitely need to do one more take.
All right.
I mean, we've done like a clean, good take of all of these lines yet.
It doesn't matter, man. It's all recorded.
Yeah, but we still need to get we have to give you a good one, so it doesn't suck.
This is. I don't know. All right, I'm ready.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you ready?
No.